Welcome to Why Such a Fuss, an exciting new channel dedicated to help individuals and businesses to learn more about data protection in a way that is easy and engaging. I'm Christina from CVG Solutions, and I am a fully qualified data protection professional. I am passionate about educating, empowering, and enabling businesses to thrive. Remember to like and subscribe to this channel and help us to spread the word. Data protection is there for a reason. It protects you, your family, loved ones, customers, employees from coming to harm through the use of personal data. So make sure you click subscribe. Now, get ready to embark on a journey of growth and knowledge as we dive into the world of data protection. I'm joined once again by Michael Mulholland, Data Protection Partner at Spencer West Solicitors. Hello, Michael, and welcome back to the show.
Hi, Christina.
Now, I'm really looking forward to this discussion. You've been closer to it than I am, and so I'm going to exploit your knowledge on this subject, if you don't mind. So can you talk to us about what is our government planning with regards to regulating AI, and indeed if they are planning anything?
So the UK government they haven't produced a piece of legislation that is like the European AI Act. So I think what the UK government seems to be doing is taking a step back and taking in information and looking at the experience of how the AI Act operates in Europe. They've produced a white paper called A Pro-Innovation Approach to AI Regulation. That was in 2023. And they're not at the moment planning to adopt any new legislation to regulate. So I think one of the benefits that they are purporting around Brexit is that we can be more nimble and there's been a less reliance on sort of heavy, as they would see it, regulation. So for people in our industry, then the main guidance would be, as in terms of principles, would be to look at what the AI Act is done in how that's been implemented and what the experience of that will be across industries within Europe.
Okay, so basically,
we're more sort of, again, it's that flexibility to be more competitive and to be more nimble, as the politicians would describe it. And they're also looking to the regulator, the ICO, then will be delivering guidance and delivering consultation to promote that sort of innovation within UK. I think the idea is that the UK will be a technology hub, which should provide investment from around the world, which would be more attractive to investors because it'll be more light-footed regulation than there is within Europe. So I think that's the plan that's appeared to be approaching.
So our government is sort of basically sitting on the edge, looking to see what the EU AI Act is kind of performing, so to speak, and the intention is to then make the UK a data center heaven for industries. So I suppose in our industry, from a data protection perspective, the concern there is the misuse of personal data, the potential misuse of personal data with any lack of regulations. But you mentioned that the ICO might be bringing out some guidance around this, so fingers crossed.
Well, I mean, there is guidance on AI on the ICO website. We've also had, just going back a little bit, so there's been a change of government, and so Labour's coming in the last 6 months.
Yes.
And again, but they're giving the sort of same message that it's we're pro-innovation, and they're sort of carrying on the steps of the previous government to say that they don't plan to adopt new legislation to regulate AI at the moment. Um, and they're putting the responsibility on sort of the regulator to regulate it. So the ICO will be delivering guidance. And yeah, so I mean, we're in the post GDPR world, and the culture of GDPR and a lot of the principles that will be applicable to AI, so that the data is not misused, and that the rights of the data subject are at the forefront of any new developments in
Yeah.
technology. But that is the difference between the UK at the moment and the European Union. So the European Union is looking to establish framework uh, around risk, and looking at the types of proposed works where AI and generative AI are established, and uh, allocating risks to the individual, um, so that there is reporting around that risk, and there's monitoring of the risk, and so that there's something that's in place which will be able to record that risk. So, I mean, the way I look at it, it's almost like doing. We're in the culture of the we're after GDPR, doing uh, DPIAs, privacy risk assessments, and the AI is rather like that. So you identify what the risk is, you look at the product, what the intentions of what the business wants to do with it. Then you look at what the impact is on the individual, and then you look at what steps are in place which would mitigate against that risk. So that is, as I say, that's established, and that's what all companies should be doing anyway. And the
Yeah.
framework that the AI Act is proposing is mirroring those principles.
Yes, because there is the argument that if you are applying the GDPR to AI, then you are regulating it.
Yeah, to a certain extent, I think you could apply again with the DPIA. So if you've got a piece of, and it's the uh, privacy by design, those concepts, and if you're doing that already, and then you're properly documenting what a project proposal is, and what the intention is, and what the outcomes are supposed to be, and then look at the risk to the individual, then you are essentially, I tend to agree with you that you can do a lot to mitigate
Yes.
the risk, and also have a defensible position should you be uh, questioned, or there's further scrutiny that comes from the regulator. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Um,
I think
mm,
I think the GDPR already provides you with tools, if you want, and guidance on how to regulate AI. So I think as an organization, if you are developing AI or you're using AI, data protection by design and data protection by default really becomes center stage. And then, as you said, carrying out a data processing, impact assessment is really key before you implement that change, whatever that might be. So actually, I don't know, I haven't read it, so I don't know what additional benefits, if you want, or additional guidance does the EU AI Act give to any business? Does it, on top of the GDPR, does it give you anything extra?
yeah, it does. So they've made an effort in Europe to regulate AI from like a high position. So there's regulatory bodies like the European Commission, and they've created a European AI board. So
Mm.
it's right from the top, and then similar to what the UK is doing as well, the national supervisory bodies also enforce the AI governance and compliance.
Mm.
But there are things there that are specific to AI that have come into the Act. So if a user of a high risk AI system, if there's any malfunctions, once this all comes in, they have to report that to the authorities within 15 days. So I think what they do is that they put into draft form, they put into writing procedures that must be followed where something goes wrong. And so where we are in the UK at the minute, it's not we don't have that clarity. So I think there's an attempt to create some clarity and start identifying the risks because it's like with all legislation that technological development is far more advanced than we're ahead in actually the legislation, and the legislation's always playing catch up.
Yeah, of course, yes. The legislation is always, a few steps behind, isn't it? Especially, technology is moving so fast these days. Legislation, it's is always behind.
And similar to the GDPR as well, the AI Act is there's the stick as well. So there's fines for non-compliance is 35 million euros or 7% of global turnover for
They're
prohibited
even higher. So those fines are even higher than the GDPR fines.
Yeah. So again, I think it's just a reflection of the perceived societal risks of AI and the impact that it can have on entire societies.
Yes.
Um,
So what advice would you give to businesses that are using AI as part of their operation, as part of their running their business? What advice would you give them, if any?
well, regarding the UK, then probably how I would do it is that I would say you would look to the existing legislation within Europe, and if we're going to sell, if a business wants to do business within the European single market and sell into Europe, you probably will have to meet the AI Act standards anyway. So obviously pay attention to the ICO and their guidance. But essentially, if you're operating within the UK and you're acting as if the AI Act is applicable, you do your risk assessments according to what the AI Act prescribes you to do. So you would document and policy, have a separate policy for AI. Your business should recognise where the AI is being used in the business and what products are being developed using AI. And then again, do the risk assessment and see what the impact is on the individual. So again, it's looking at what the reality on the ground is and making sure that you have assessed that risk and documented it and involved the DPO at all stages with new projects.
And provide clear guidance to your employees on how they can and cannot use AI, because I think that it's also important. And for those businesses that are actually developing AI, what should they be aware of?
I think it's where there's large systemic risk. So, I mean, the big companies like Google and IBM, they think the AI Act is initially, it's like they've seen that these companies are having huge changes on society. So the AI Act is probably aimed at them first and foremost. And so the businesses that are developing things like chatbots and working like customer services and so the lower down you go in terms of the risk of grading, then you would try and categorize it. So where do we fit in terms of what the AI Act is asking us to do, and produce your policies and the compliance as a reflection of that according to the risk. Yeah, there's things like, and then depends what your sector as well. So if you're in the finance sector and you're looking at creditworthiness and who you're going to provide loans to, or making investment decisions or recommendations, you have to make sure that your tools aren't automatically like promoting bias, and then you probably have to explain why your systems and how your systems are being developed, so that the individual is not being affected in those negative ways. So again, you mentioned training as well, because yeah, the training is important because again, recognizing bias is something that you need to do, and also you'd have to, and then also training them on actually provisions of the AI Act, which would or on what you're doing using AI, where that could happen. And then once you have that, is then you have to monitor your systems to make sure that they are consistent with that training that the employees will have received,
Yeah.
and again document it. And then this is the thing about doing privacy impact assessments. You write down where you've assessment, so you've got some evidence should any regulator come to you later on saying that where we've considered this point, and this is yeah there was evidence of it, but this is what we've done to mitigate it, and keep testing those systems as well.
Yes. It's
Yeah,
important to remember that a DPIA or data processing impact assessment is not a one-off exercise. You need to keep revisiting it and refresh it if you want. It's almost like a live document, so to speak, to ensure
yeah,
that your approach is still viable.
yeah. So you have to review the technical documentation as well, so that there should be details of what the system is, what's going to be used for. There should have details about its design, and how it's tested, and again, as you say, like how it's working operationally.
Hmm.
Yeah, and and we've talked about training, but there's like the data that goes into the quality of that data, um, and the testing. Again, a lot of these themes and a lot of these principles going back to GDPR and pre-GDPR days is it's got to be accurate, it's got to be complete, minimum errors in the data that's been assessed.
And just briefly on training, it's not just e-learning training because actually it's not very effective, but it's on the job training. It's regards to AI is showing and teaching your employee how to use AI in line with your guidance, in line with your rules on the job, rather than an abstract theoretical e-learning 20 minutes or half an hour kind of training. So organization needs to think about investing in that to ensure that they are maintaining, they're following their own rules, but also they are in line with the GDPR, so that should in future the UK government bring in a similar act to what the EU has done, you are already a step ahead. And
Yes.
therefore it will be a lot easier to then implement that.
Yeah. Yeah, I tend to agree with you. So if you have like online training on, it's good, and you sort of tick the regulatory and the compliance box when you've got you have online training. But I think training should be ongoing. So if you've put a product out into the world, you've got everyday experience there and feedback. So whatever what might be complaints, so that should form part of the training. And if there's any of the complaints which you've got that are if there's any processes that are causing those complaints, they should be modified or amended.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
I'm thinking also about transparency requirements, because there might be the thing about AI is that because it gathers so much data about individuals potentially, and uh, and those individuals might not know. And they might have no idea about what type of data is collected. There might be behavioral data, there might be sensitive data is collected about the individuals, and it might be from sources that they're totally unaware of. So the transparency requirements are high, and I think where there's high risk, obviously. And again, organisations must be proactive in uh, making sure people that individuals know what's happening to their data, and what those uses are. And they've got to be show that it's the accountability, the principle around about accountability that comes in as well, so that you can say we've been totally transparent, and we're giving individuals the means and methods of knowing what information concerning them is being collected, and what impact it's having on them. And yeah, I think there is a general sort of it's so much there's so much noise around AI in the media, and individuals. I wonder if they're feeling. Well, I do as well. But feeling rather overwhelmed. And and there's sort of a lack of where do we go to find out what's happening around us? And then with the tools like with Google and ChatGPT, so Google Gemini, and they're collecting all this civilizations documentation, pulling it together, machine learning, and I know that sort of high level, but everything's been gathered. There's so much data, and we are like small pawns in a greater world. So it's like it should be around empowering people as well. That's the whole purpose of the whole data protection legislation. That's empowering. But so organisations should be seen to be documenting risk and promoting transparency, and being shown that they are doing that.
Yeah, and on that note, I would recommend any organization to create a data flow map and maintain that data flow map, because that shows you what data you're collecting, where you are sharing, where you're keeping it, what you're doing with it, so that you can maintain that transparency. And also amend it if you're changing things, but they will give you an end-to-end understanding of what you're doing with that data, and so then you'll be able to. It will support your privacy notice. It will support your ROPA. It will support your DPIAs. If you have an audit or the ICO comes in and questions you, you can show them and be that transparent, and understanding what applications you have, who's using what, etc., etc. I think that it's a really good tool to have, as well as being visual. Yeah. But Michael, thank you ever so much for your time and for your wonderful insight. I always enjoy talking to you. Would you like to let our audience know how to get in touch with you, should they wish to do so?
Yeah, if you just look at the Spencer West website, my profile will be on there, and you can get in contact with my details that are on that website, Spencer West LLP.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Michael. And if you would like to get in touch with me, I can be found on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Just search for CVG Solutions. Alternatively, you can email me at info@cvgsolutions.co.uk, or just simply check me out on my website, which is www.cvgsolutions.co.uk. Thank you for watching, and remember to give us a thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you.